guy alone inside. He's got the breakaway with the touch to the right. Goal! Everything you wanted from this debut. It's Brandon By. Taking a shot with the left. Goal! Isaac Frank from 25 yards out. The equalizer. Will Kidd with the touch of the goal. It's a go-ahead goal. Minneapolis City.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
What do you get when you cross a crow with a toaster? An undefeated champion, y'all. Let that one sink in a little bit for you folks while I keep rolling.
That's a good riddle.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, North Conference champion Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I'm your host, John, and that is, across from me is the only undefeated PA announcer in the NPSL North Conference, the Nate Morales. Nate, how you living, man? A little birdie told me that today's your 47th birthday. Is that true?
No, it's my birthday, but I'm not 47. I'm much younger. I don't
27.
27. I'm 20. I'm 17 years old.
The microphone puts on 20 years.
That's true. No, I'm not 47. But it is my birthday, man. And unlike last year, I got a pretty decent present. And it is the Crows winning the title and going undefeated. So I'm happy.
Yes. I mean, I think we're all happy, except for the people who just dislike us. They still can't deny that we have happiness. They just don't agree with it.
Yeah.
But on this week's show, it's going to be a short one, kind of, but it'll be oh so sweet. We'll pick what's left of Dakota Fusion out of our cleats after stomping them into the turf this past weekend, up in Moorhead, not in Fargo. Interesting. As noted, we are actually legit undefeated, and it's not like a joke t-shirt undefeated. You can look this shit up on the internet. It's totally true. So we'll bask in that glory and talk about any implications. And as you may have also heard, that secured us a number 1 seed in the NPSL Midwest playoffs. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll finish up with a little World Cup talk for some dessert.
Yeah.
So Nate, let's light this campfire, down some summits, some old granddad, and get the show on the road.
John, I could not make that trip to Dakota last weekend, but my Twitter machine was blowing up during the match thanks to the goal fest that was going on up there. I'm really sad I missed it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what was going on?
Did your phone die because you had Twitter up and it just...
I did. Sometimes I have to mute because I have it all on, like, every notification from the game day feed will pop up, and sometimes it's just like, oh man, this is a lot going on. I can't keep up.
I'm the same way sometimes. But yeah, so, I mean, man, the only way to describe this one, it was a goal fest, like you noted. And the guys who traveled up there deserve 90 minutes of their lives back on top of the 3 points they secured, because it was just kind of like a wash.
Wow.
It happened, and we got our points, went undefeated. But other than that, it was kind of just like a waste of time for some of those guys, it seemed like. But before we dive in, and I have to get on my soapbox for a minute here. I want to tell the players of the NPSL North Conference that I'm ashamed with most of you. You are grown-ass dudes. You make a commitment to a team, and you see it out. I've been on lots of winning teams in my playing days. I've been very fortunate, but I've also been on some teams that took like some total shots to the chin each week in and out. And Nate, I've never decided that I would not travel or even just turn up for games towards the end of a bad season with my teammates, like what happened with VSLT and then what happened in Dakota with them only having 12 players at home. I just expect more from a national conference like this than we're seeing. You know, I know there's unforeseen circumstances here and there, but when my team turns up, they're ready to fight, and fight they did. We're going to go over the roster here, and you'll see we didn't turn up with a cupcake squad because we had something to play for, man. And it was kind of the culmination of the goals we set out in the beginning of the year. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But the starting lineup for the game was Matt Elder in goal, AO, Max Kent, Miles Norville, and Mark Haight in the back line. We had Steve alongside of Chuck in the center midfield, and we had Will Kidd making his start at the number 10 role in the center midfield. Then we had the return of Brandon McGarity up top from his long injury delay, and he was flanked by Justin Oliver and CQ on the wings. And then our bench, equally as strong. You might think on some teams these guys start. You have Troy Lewegi, our backup goalie. You had Nick Hines, Abdallah Ba, Trey Whitney, and U23 call-up Ipsa Hamid. So again, Nate, a strong squad. Like, we weren't coming up there with like every member of the U23s.
Whitney's healthy enough to play in the substitution capacity.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's good to know.
So unlike some teams that could barely field teams across the whole entire conference and even across the country, to be honest.
Yeah, in this last week.
You saw a lot of lopsided victories in this last week because guys just gave up. And I think that's shitty. But anyways, enough of that. So Dakota showed up, like I mentioned, with 12 dudes at home. And I feel bad that they had I feel bad that they had only 12 turn up. But as you can see, we sent the full team. It wasn't soft, and we wanted to embarrass them again like we did at home. And I do know that they did have some injury issues, but they also had like 15 guys turn over on their roster, a club representative noted. So, I mean, I get it, but still, like, come on, man. Like, 12 players in your last game, like, you could have found some guys you could have brought in that were on your roster, deep on your roster. Or some starters that should have showed up for that. But we also found out that 2017 Golden Ball winner Jane Johnson, who we featured last week for not being involved in the last games, actually really since June 6th, he's been out with a serious knee injury. So that makes sense on why he wasn't there for a majority of the end of the season. And, a player of that quality, you never wish that on anyone, but a player like him, you wish him a full recovery.
You were chatting with the club rep, talking about kind of, like you said, 15 guys have dropped off this team. Is he just on the sidelines, just with his head in his hands? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, how bad do you feel for this guy? And is this kind of a one-off issue for Dakota, or did you feel like it was indicative of how this team has been run in the off season?
Well, I mean, I'll kind of go back. I don't know, honestly. I don't know how they're run, or how other teams. I know how some teams are run in our league, but by and large, if you look at our history in the past, yeah, we've showed up to some games with like 11 to 13 players, but that was because of unforeseen issues and not because people quit.
Yeah.
So, and we're talking like end of seasons where we, outside of this year, I think we disappointed. We underachieved. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I really don't. But first half was dominated by the Crows. Shots coming in from the left and the right and the center. Guys beating defenders off the dribble. 1-2 passing. Long balls that were successful. Bouts of short passing and tons of possession. But really only resulted in 2 penalty kicks. Then we had they were both converted by Brandon McGarity, and then the second by Justin Oliver, who actually missed his penalty kick. The Fusion goalie saved it, but some jackal waltzed right into the box for the Fusion during his run-up, and that's a no-no where I come from and where anyone comes from. So he got to take it again, and then he buried it. So I don't know what that guy was thinking. But anyways, they were up 2-0. The rest of the half was just lots of Fusion goal kicks and City possession. And then halftime whistle came.
Oh, so that feels good. Wait, so everyone's lined up. Justin's going to take the penalty, and the guy's just not paying attention and kind of wanders into the goal area? Or did he make an early run to like break to the goal to get to any rebound, or what was?
Yeah, the latter. So
okay.
He was like 3 steps behind Justin as he was making his run up. I'm like, what is this guy doing? And then of course they protested, like, what's the ref thinking? And you're like, well, the ref was doing his job.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So anyways, good first half, but it didn't feel like the blowout that it ended up as. It's like, we're up 2-0 on penalties. Here we go. We got this.
Right. So the second half, the Crows knew their final goal of the season that we kind of put out there. So number 1 was finish top of our conference. Number 2 was win the supporter shield, whatever it's called, for the champion of Minnesota. And then finally, obviously qualify for playoffs automatically if you win the conference, but finally was really lock in that undefeated season. So, and it was kind of set already, having those 2 goals. But we talked about it in the past week, or past couple weeks. Really, ever since we had that draw at Aris, we talked about it then, where we have to be less Minnesota nice and more like ruthless when it comes to playing some competition that isn't giving us their best effort.
Yep.
And fighting us back, and really go for that jugular. And that's exactly what we did. And I know that's something that the coaching staff really kind of hit home, was like, let's just lock this up and put the pedal down so we have good momentum going into the playoffs. So a couple, I mean, I could kind of go into detail, but I'm going to kind of hit it at a high level here. Troy comes in for Elder, so we make a goalkeeping switch, and he makes his first appearance as a full NPSL player. McGarity scores his second goal off of Justin Oliver cross. Then Trey comes in for Max, which is great to see Trey out there. I know he's had some injury problems, and then has some personal things he was sorting out towards the end of the season, so great to see him back. McGarity then returns the favor to Oliver and sets him up for his second goal. Then Oliver comes right back and feeds the beast again, and he sets up McGarity for his hat trick. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back from injury, bro.
Not a bad way to come back.
Yeah. Casual hat trick.
Yep.
Then we see Abdallah come on for Siku. Justin Oliver knots another one. Will Kidd gets into the party. Ibsa comes in for Steve. Hines comes in for McGarity on a curtain call, basically, which moves Abdallah Ba to center midfield with Chuck out to the left wing. And then Nick Hines took the opposite wing, and then Oliver went up top. Then we finally see... like I mentioned, Chuck sets up Oliver for his hat trick. So the first for him with the club. So congratulations to Justin.
Yes.
And also the first time we've ever had 2 hat tricks in one match as a club. And that wasn't even against Aris.
Yeah.
So awesome. That's another one for the record books this year. Then to cap it off, we had a classic Chazzle Dazzle step over coming in from the outside. And then he just rips in a nice goal for the final goal of the game. Whistle blows, we get out of town with mission accomplished, and we get set up for the postseason life, Nate.
Yeah, man, living that postseason life. You know it feels good. I think, you know what's funny? If you want to see hat tricks, friends, you can go see Minnesota United and hope for one over the span of 2 seasons, or you can just hang out with City and see 3 in 1 year.
Did we have more than that?
I don't...
Timmy?
Had Timmy? So that's 4. Because we had Whitney.
Whitney, Timmy... Oliver and McGarity. So we had 4. and we only play 14 games.
So what's the local soccer you want to see if you want to see goals? I'll tell you what. Us! And with that, Minneapolis finishes the season firmly atop the NPSL North with a record of 10 wins, 0 losses, and 4 draws. That is undefeated, friends. It's great to say, and it's a great record for the team to hang their hats on, but it means a lot more than that. First of all, the last win against Dakota Fusion clinched us that number 1 seed in the NPSL Midwest playoffs. And we're going to get to those details in a bit. But secondly, in a benefit that's a little more relatable because we've lived through not enjoying this benefit over the last couple of years, that outright division win earns us an automatic bid into the U.S. Open Cup, right, John?
Yes, it does.
So that means that we skipped the qualifying in the fall, that we went through all the rigmarole, going to Aurora, getting the game in Kansas canceled, traveling all the way to Rochester. F all of that. F the scrambling for a roster building while all of our guys are at college. Forget all that hard training in the wintertime. Forget the travel. Forget the expenses that qualifying brings. This is quite the boon to not have to worry about any of that and start the cup with potentially some heavy hitters back from, or maybe even released from college duties in next May.
Yeah, I'll totally agree, Nate. But although it's much nicer on our pocketbooks to not have to travel to 3 away games just to sniff the socks of the teams that got the automatic bids, but we actually did use that Open Cup cycle to introduce new quality talent to our player pool, and now we kind of don't have that. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried that we don't have that. Actually, I know for a fact that there's interest because my inbox pretty much since the second half of the season has been flooded with quality players who want to play for City, and how they get involved in doing that. But let's take a look at who we've gained into the murder over the last 2 Open Cup qualifying cycles. Martin Brown, Whitney Brown, Chuck, Miles Stockman-Willis, Miles Norville, Nick Hutton, Siku trained with us a bit during that cycle last year after he came in from the open tryout. Josh Paris, who is a dynamic winger from the U23 squad. He was actually injured, but he did train with us, and would have been on the roster if he hadn't been injured. And I get to coach it, so it's a little sad for me. But I'm still way happier we don't have to do what we had to do in the past.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't even thought of, that like that fall cycle of trying to refill the roster, find quality talent, find guys who are dedicated. Really what that does for the team is it builds or at least it rebuilds that core group of players that learn to rely on themselves during difficult times. So that is kind of a concern. I could see that as guys go back to college, as the team separates for an extended period of time, how well do they gel back together in May? How quickly can they do that? And how can they rediscover their winning ways once the U.S. Open Cup cycle begins anew?
Well, I mean, honestly, Nate, since basically September, we've had that core group. We've been joking now we call it the Brotherhood, but it really was.
Yeah.
We've had them playing together since September. And then we go through that cycle. December hits. We have our open combine for college players back from the holidays. And then we basically pick our remaining members of the team there. And then this year, obviously, the supplemental U23 team. And then we're training. So it was really valuable for us in what made us a champion, I believe. And we won't have it this year. It doesn't mean we won't be doing something together, but we won't be qualifying for the Open Cup together. But last thing, Nate, I do want to say, now that we are done with the regular season, and in my mind, anything on top of the division title and being undefeated is gravy at this point, in my opinion. But I'd like to say a few thank yous and congrats are in order to some of the teams. First off, dear Sioux Falls Thunder, thank you so much for drawing us in our first game. It really, I believe, gave us the defibrillator electric shock to the heart that we really needed to get our shit together and to really put serious emphasis on all of our games that move forward. And then finally, congratulations and you're welcome. So congrats on the 0-0 draw that gave you your only points of the season, and as a result, you're welcome, Eris, because that draw made not only us still finish at the top of the table, but it really made you move from the last place team in the country at 98th to move up to 94.
Yes.
So, congratulations. And to Med City, Duluth, Twin Stars, VSLT, Fusion, and all the haters out there that try to make fun of us for not beating Eris, you can all, really hang your hat on the fact that you got your asses smoked by a team that dropped draws to both second to last and last place teams in our conference. So there's that.
Hey, you know what, John? You can't win them all, but at least you don't have to lose any of them, right?
Right, exactly.
So what does this number one seed mean when what can we expect as the playoffs kick off this weekend? Across the country, the NPSL playoffs are already in full swing. A lot of Western and Southern Conference playoff games have already been played. But we here in the Midwest and out east, they haven't really quite begun yet. So we finished the season with 2.4286 points a game, and that just edges out Ann Arbor's 2.4167. That's amazing that it has to go down that close. That gives us the number one seed over them. That seeding is going to make a difference, because it lines us up to play the winner of the number 5 versus the number 6 seeded game, which happens on Saturday. That is Duluth FC versus Grand Rapids FC. While Ann Arbor is awaiting to face the winner of tomorrow night, Friday night's game, the Erie Commodores versus Cleveland SC. What are the implications there, John? Do you think it's better for us to be to line up against a team like Duluth or Grand Rapids rather than Erie and Cleveland?
Well, I mean, outside of Duluth, who we kind of know what we're going to expect, I think it's kind of a trap game for us because we've seen them now. That'll be the third time we've seen them.
Yeah.
And they know what to expect from us. We know what to expect from them. So I kind of feel like we're in a little bit more of a pole position because they have to face a very good Grand Rapids team. But on the flip side, that Grand Rapids team, despite how good they are, they have to travel a pretty long distance away for one game. So it's kind of a coin toss there. I'm just glad we don't have to face Ann Arbor or either Erie or Cleveland in our first game to get to the semifinals of the region.
Yeah. So we're going to do a deeper scouting dive next week into any future adversaries we might have, such as definitely Ann Arbor, and then whoever wins out of those Erie and Cleveland and Duluth and Grand Rapids games. But what is John, your ideal path to a Midwest championship for Minneapolis City?
Well, it would have been us hosting the Final Four. That would have been great. There were some definite minimum and we'll call them maximum requirements that we just could not fulfill. And I don't know if you know this, but Shane Battier from Duke basketball fame is one of the members of the ownership group for the Ann Arbor team. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know how it works out. But
did he land in Detroit professionally and retire there, or that
could be? I mean, he played for the Pistons, so maybe
weird.
But honestly, I don't know. But his influx of cash into them put together a stronger bid. So I think to answer your question, I really wish we would have been able to host, which would have been easier for us because we haven't lost at home, really, or
at all.
Yeah, or at all. But I think my ideal pathway would be to try to avoid Ann Arbor, and face a team that's not as rested in either Erie or Cleveland. All three of those teams are good, but we have to take care of business against the winner of Duluth and Grand Rapids first.
Yeah. So while they ended up with that number 2 seed, you have to think that Ann Arbor is this team to watch out for, John. You are correct. They finished the season with an incredible 0.3 goals allowed per game. They gave up 1 goal in a victory against FC Columbus, 1 goal in an inexplicable draw against the Milwaukee Torrent. But hey, it happens to the best of us. And they gave up 2 goals in a loss to fellow playoff team Grand Rapids. That's 4 goals given up all season. That is it. This sounds kind of like the real deal.
Yeah, they are the real deal. I mean, that draw against basically the Sioux Falls Thunder of their division in Milwaukee Torrent was one that was definitely not expected. I mean, FC Columbus nicking a goal against them is as you would expect, and then like I mentioned, Grand Rapids is also a quality team, so those you would expect. But they also are without their best defender. I forget what the guy's name is, but he is a U21 Cameroonian international. So what he's doing playing in Ann Arbor, no clue. But not having him still doesn't gloss over the fact that they're really good at not giving up goals, and we're really good at scoring goals. So it seems like the ideal matchup on paper for the casual NPSL fan.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show. But remember, man, it's a whole, like you said, it's a whole, who knows what's going to happen. You got guys that are out, guys that might not be traveling, guys that might not perform. The playoffs, it's a whole new season, baby. So upsets are already happening across the country. You really never know what's going to come our way. I think one of the upsets that I saw today as I was looking through everything is one of the power teams, like the number 6 power team, that Junior Lone Star FC lost in overtime. The Midland Odessa Sockers. Sockers, still a stupid name for a soccer team. They're power ranked number 12. They lost. Miami FC.
They
go ahead.
featured in the final last year against Erie.
Midland Odessa?
Yeah.
Yeah, from the Lone Star Conference, they got knocked out. So there's a lot of teams that are already going down all across the country. So who knows what could happen? Who knows, man? We could luck out.
Let me correct myself. They actually featured against Elm City. Who lost, I believe 4-2 against the Cosmos in overtime. Yeah. Which is another thing. Like the Cosmos, let's not forget the fact, Cosmos, that you're a professional soccer team.
Yeah, Cosmos and Miami FC 2 are both basically NASL teams playing down in the NPSL, which is pretty whack. So hopefully hopefully someone can upset them and deny them any sort of national recognition for playing down.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways.
Anyways, hey, more playoff talk is coming next week. Make sure to stay glued to your streams this weekend as Erie takes on FC Cleveland Friday night at 7 p.m. That's a potential future matchup for us a couple rounds down the road. And of course, Duluth FC is going to welcome Grand Rapids this Saturday, also at 7 at Public Schools Field, I'm sure. So if anyone wants to make a trip up to Duluth and see what Grand Rapids has to offer, that could be a good weekend.
I think so too. I mean, I've watched so much soccer since August, last August, not this August, but this last August. That what's another few weekends, right?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? So we will be brief with our next segment here. Unless you're a total Todd, you must know that we're down to 2 teams fighting for the honor of being the best soccer country in the world for the next 4 years. The World Cup final is this weekend, folks, and we see France and Croatia make it through the semis. Really 4 quality teams, all European teams, which was definitely not a first, but very rare.
Yeah.
And we also find out that Nate knows fuck all about picking teams this year. Do you care to explain yourself, Nate?
I can't explain myself, man. I can't explain myself. I was going, you know what? I expected excitement and dynamism to carry the day, and instead what happens is a bunch of old-ass Croats decide to play some defense and strike on the counter, man. I don't know. Who can predict things, right? It's soccer. That's what you always say. Hey, that's soccer, right?
Right, yeah, soccer, it's a gift and it's also a bitch. So, but somewhere in the world is our old friend Ante Cop with just like passed out in a gutter from drinking all day, celebrating with just cheeseburger stains all over his t-shirt. Or his 1994 Croatian jersey.
That's right.
But anyway, so the first matchup was Croatia versus England. Turns out, Nate, it's not coming home. The only thing that's coming home is a disappointed team after they basically throw in the towel in the third place game. But there was much fanfare in England and lots of support all over the world, really, because once in a blue moon now, England's doing things at an international level. But, insert the Price is Right, like, bah, 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 bah. It all ended. I think that they totally fell apart.
They came out of the gate so strong, but yeah, you're right. Just could not attack after that.
They did. I think the insertion of Rashford for Sterling, who was having his best game of the World Cup, I thought they were pushing Croatia, but like they just absorbed the punches. Very much a Rocky Balboa, Ivan Drago situation where every punch that England threw at Croatia just kept coming back. And I felt that we talked about it, that Croatia was really the best overall team in the World Cup. And it took that. It's really what it needed to beat, to beat England. And, they were a team that only for the second time in the modern era of the World Cup won 3 straight knockout games in overtime or penalties and that's impressive.
Especially for an older team, right? Average age is kind of creeping up into the 30s. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, so these guys put the work in and they believe in themselves, and I think that they have a very much like we did this year, a very much like, all right, we know you're going to hate us or you're going to be against us, so we're just going to go out and do our thing. And that they did, Nate. So maybe they still have a couple pints left in the tank to take on France, who faced Belgium on the other side, and we saw Belgium basically completely fall apart. And we also saw Mbappe, the Mbappe show, and really show everyone why club soccer around the world wants a piece of this guy for how good he is at the age of 19. I actually saw on Twitter someone said if Mbappe was American, he'd be finishing his redshirt year at Creighton. Which is totally true.
That is, yeah. I'm like hoping to get picked up by the Orlando Pride or something.
Right, yeah, he'd be a number 1 draft pick sitting the bench on an MLS team or something. So, but anyways, Nate, what last words on the cup, or maybe why don't you dive into who you got in the final?
What's the point anymore, John? I thought it's been a pretty exciting cup for a neutral. I didn't really have any team that I was hanging my hat on from the beginning, which is good. Would have been nicer to see a few more upsets beyond Russia. It was nice that Argentina lost. It was nice that Spain bombed out. Sweden was good. I like,
Korea beating Germany.
That was cool, right? But I think like the Cinderella story really wasn't there beyond this Croatia team, which is fine. It's just hard to connect with throughout the course of the World Cup, as there are so many people kind of that like yourself that keep diving in and saying this team's actually really good. No, this isn't a sleeper. This is a good team. So it's hard to find that kind of narrative for a neutral. But otherwise, it's been a super exciting World Cup. I think going to this final, this is gonna jinx it, right? But when you look at what England was lacking against Croatia, it was that dynamism, that speed, that that thing that France really showed off against Belgium. And I think France their youth, their speed, and the precise attacks could really hurt Croatia. I don't know if Croatia can do it, but I guess that's what I said last time, after playing so long for so many games.
So basically Croatia's going to win.
Croatia's going to win it all, right? I just jinxed it.
Yeah, right. Well, I think in your take, I'm still I'm gonna stick with Croatia because
You think Lovren and Vida can absorb the likes of Mbappe?
Well, I mean, maybe they can, maybe they can't, but I'm not gonna change my prediction up after we got into the knockout round.
Yeah.
But I mean, basically, I think it's gonna go down to an N'Golo Kante versus Luka Modric battle. I really do. I do think, and then Rakitic, trying to lock in Pogba.
Yeah.
So,
good luck.
I mean, yeah, right, exactly. But I have another question for you, Nate. So, what team from this World Cup that qualified are you looking forward to seeing in the next World Cup cycle?
Oh,
as
man.
they get another 4 years more experience coming off of this World Cup.
Yeah,
the hard-hitting questions, folks.
That's tough because the narrative out of this World Cup is a lot of these teams are aging out, right? Like Uruguay aging out. Cavani and Suarez might not be in the next one. Argentina aging out. I would say, John, I want to see what happens with Spain as they get this full turnover, and you get the young guys like Asensio coming up and kind of displacing some of the guys like Iniesta and Costa as starters. What happens in 4 years in Spain could either be the rebirth of Spanish football or the complete death of it.
So my take on this is I really am interested in seeing what Argentina does. Because if you look at what they did in the last 2 World Cups, and even in the Gold Cup when they got blown out by not
Chile
in the final, and then Chile doesn't even qualify.
Right.
But you saw a team that had arguably one of the best players ever in Messi, and you saw they really weren't built to his strengths to win soccer games, and it was really like, hopefully he takes over and we have a couple other good guys that can pick up the pieces, but they didn't have like a full team effort. And so I'm interested in seeing why Dybala didn't play a lot in the World Cup is interesting to me, because they threw in some youth into that squad, but they're, like you said, they're aging out like anyone. But can Dybala and whoever comes in to coach this team, because that guy for sure is getting fired if he hasn't been already, like, what are they going to do? Are they going to do more of like what Croatia did and build a team dynamic to go into the next World Cup? Or are they going to try to insert Dybala as the next thing for them as a country? So they're my team to kind of look at. And then, people who didn't qualify really would like to see what the Dutch and what the Americans do. Yeah,
absolutely. And Chile.
Right, and Chile. And then my last question: is it true that you totally suck at making predictions since you won our ad agency fantasy EPL league 4 years ago?
That was pretty much it. That was the highest point I ever got. And I did win my EPL fantasy this year again too, but otherwise I'm garbage at this World Cup thing, clearly. So I have no excuse for myself, man.
Yeah, you really should just stick with the club soccer.
Yeah, stick with week to week and online analysis and what rather than worrying about a bunch of games that mean more than anything ever in these guys' lives. All right, so that is all for this week's show. It's a quick one, but we needed to put something in your ears for the week. Thank you as always to our sponsor, Summit Brewing. It is summer. It's hot as F out, and what better brew to kick back on the porch or on the lake or in your cold-ass basement, not sweating, than a Keller Pils. Hey, it is hailed as in 2016 as the number 2 Pilsner in the world by Paste Magazine. It is that good. They should have probably named it Killer Pils. Summit, a more meaningful brew since 1986. Hey, why not? Support Minneapolis City with membership. We still got playoffs, baby. For only $65, you get a vote and a say in the direction of local soccer, as well as a pass to any remaining city matches this summer, including U23 and a few potential, maybe home-friendly matches that could hinge on some other things. Plus, you get a classy membership scarf. Go on over to MPLSCitySC.com and jump on that NPSL North winning bandwagon right now.
Fun fact, Nate, I'm actually coaching the U23s this weekend against the Milwaukee Bavarian U23s in
that
the
is
Wisconsin
fun.
Dells.
You're going to love that.
Yeah, so any of you listeners who want to continue to ride this city wave, the Rookery, as we've called them, actually just beat Granite City of the UPSL yesterday, and now only have one loss on their record this season outside of Minnesota United, when they lost 1-0 on a penalty to the Bug Eaters away. So
they're looking good.
Hopefully, yeah, they're looking good, and I get a chance to be at the helm because both Matt and Ryan, the two coaches, are off doing other things. So come to the Dells, 4 p.m. kickoff at Dells, or in the Dells, at the Woodside Sports Complex. Check out Twitter for more information, or head on over to MPLSCitySC.com for information on that.
Yeah, I mean, and if they don't make it to the game, at least we know they can find you at Cruise and Chubby starting at about 9 p.m., right?
No, I'm driving.
Oh, okay. If giving back to the community means a lot to people, maybe it's time they give back to the club that gives back.
Great segue.
Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, and fun environment for young people to play this beautiful game. You got to find us all summer, playing with kids in parks and community centers all around the city, and make sure you consider that tax-deductible donation to a true city-focused organization. Send us mail. Oh, man, we got mail. We forgot all about it. It is easy. Hit us up on Twitter at The People's Pitch or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. We'll make sure to answer the mail that we got next week. Shoot! All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, as always, hit up the club on Twitter at MPLSCitySC. That is all for this week. Once again, we're going to leave you with the house MC, Miles Stockman Willis, a.k.a. Malaise, with the track for all of you called Loco. I am Nate. That is John. Hey, thanks a lot for all the listeners, to all the listeners for rocking out with us throughout this hashtag undefeated season. Heads up on the playoffs this weekend. We will talk to you next week.
You got hooked.
Got a lot of the ball lately, balling on them like a ball baron. Solo local pulling hair, crazy. Run the show like I ran errands. Soon start going ball, maybe. People staring whatever I'm wearing. Wanna make you a star, baby. Chromosomes are the perfect parent. She way more than alright. Bad bitch and her genotype. Damn right, I'm tryna pipe. Only ride if it settles right. So high that settle like goosebumps from the linen. Goosebumps cause she's sinning. Touch her ink, that's hinting. Drop the tape like I'm finished. I should live in Finland. Couple homies speak Finnish. Pen a drug, penicillin. My pocket pissing is filling. My inner drive at the ceiling. Despicable how I'm feeling. Millions like minions. Rap star / rap czar. Build a team support not far. They bring the whole PR. If only a sliver in my health bar. Underdog the way I come back. Overcast make them run laps. In the club raining cats and dogs. Where the fuck the umbrellas at? Shooting magic bullets, know I got the juice. Got a big head, need a wider noose. Can't feel my face, still it's kinda loose. Been the truth, not to the proof. Chain look like glitter glue. Other chain got a darker hue. Take a cruise, tip the whole crew. Whole fridge from Whole Foods. I'm rock hard, stoned off lime. First time that she rock climb. Treat me like some rock candy. Now she wants a rock wine. Well worded with a slight slang. She the same cause her tongue rang. Throw shade when she sunbathed. 50 bands when my art hang. Just some G's and G events. She villas chillin', we just venting. Speaking French and hailing Frenchies. Trying to get the dream eventually. Even if it takes a century. I don't wanna be a Benji decree to lead the gentry. People starving truckers, Bentley money, we greeted. And we pat down for the entry. Each assembly, what? If they don't want us, then fuck it, they're lost. Team on my back, I still carry the cross. About what I like, care less about the cause. Writing with diamonds, I'm like Robert Frost. Life is a movie, the scene is just saw. You at the dentist, I'll leave you in awe. Tell you what it is, laid on the law. Flicking you off while I'm rolling the raw.